So I'm not sure how many of you actually remember the story of a while back where over 100 illegal immigrants broke through border barricades and attacked our National Guard troops who were stationed over at the Texas border. Now, obviously, the riot ensued. They attacked the National Guard troops. They were arrested, detained for the riot, and now, what do you know, a judge has decided, no charges for them whatsoever, and they are now going to be released into the country, no questions asked. This is what we're dealing with right now when it comes to the lawfare happening across the country, where Democrats have decided now that because they can't get their way politically, they're instead going to get their way through just corrupting the entire legal system at its very core. So we have this story right here from the Post-Millennial. Judge dismisses riot charges against 140 illegal immigrants accused of rushing the border in El Paso. I do not believe there's a probable cause for these individuals to continue to be detained for the offense of a riot or of riot participation. Now, for one, these people should be detained because, for one, they crossed the border illegally, right? That's number one. Number one. They crossed the border illegally, they should be detained. We don't know who the hell these people are. Even if they do show papers, how do we know these papers are authentic? We have no idea. These people are coming from third world countries. These are underdeveloped. They do not have the same systems in place. It makes no sense, as I'm sure many of you already understand. But this is a case where they literally attacked National Guard troops and forced their way into the country. Again, this isn't them sneaking into the country illegally. No, this is them using force to gain entry into our country. That is what's happening. Yet this judge obviously has decided, no charges, what's the big deal? On Monday, a judge in El Paso, Texas dismissed the case of 140 illegal immigrants charged in connection with a border that took place with the legal immigrants stored Border Patrol agents at the U.S. and Mexico border earlier this month. A little bit of a mistype there. All 140 still face federal charges stemming from their illegal entry into the country, though most illegal immigrants are given a court date some years into the future. Years where they get to stay in this country. Years into the future and released into the domestic United States. The Biden administration often offers free flights for these individuals to cities and states across this country. According to the El Paso Times, County Court Judge Ruben Morales ruled that the Texas Department of Public Safety as well as state troopers have failed to adequately prove there was probable cause to charge those individuals for the April 12th incident. I'm just going to go ahead and pull up the video one more time here for you to see. Okay, you're watching it. I see the evidence. If you're in this crowd who are gaining entry to this country illegally and are participating in this clear attack on our National Guard, that's it. We have them on video. There is no reason for a judge to even remotely say that we don't have enough probable cause to charge them, or at the very least detain them for a bit longer. After reviewing the affidavit, I don't believe that probable cause exists, he argued. I don't believe there's a probable cause for the individuals to continue to be detained for the offense of riot participation. Is this really a riot, though? I know I said riot just a while ago, but let's be real here. Is it actually a riot? If you break into the country by attacking that country's soldiers, I think at that point it's just an invasion. I don't think it counts as a riot when you have foreign illegal aliens breaking into the country using force against our United States troops. I don't think at that point you call it a riot. I think at that point you do call it an invasion. I know we always call it an invasion because, it kind of is. But this isn't people sneaking across the border. This is people actually attacking people and forcing their way into our country. That's not a riot anymore. That is a straight up invasion. El Paso County Public Defender Kelly Chaladris pointed out that the affidavit did not mention anyone actually seeing the defendants take part in the riot. We have them on video. And if they're masked, well, guess what? They're committing a crime while masked, which I think alone is a crime in this country as well, where if you're trying to hide your identity while committing a crime, that in itself is a crime. So just point that out there. While the El Paso Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Vanderbush argued that by waiting for someone to cut the concertina wire, they knew exactly what they were doing. So, are they arguing that by the National Guard waiting for someone to cut the wire, they knew that what they were doing, that they were actually hoping they would riot? Like, what's the argument here? Following the hearing, Childress explained that it is just one step in the process and that the district attorney's office could still indict the illegal immigrants on riot charges at a later date. So here's the thing. We have riots happening at the border, people, just an invasion at the border, right? Again, it's an invasion. They are forcing their way into the country by attacking our troops, all right? That is an invasion of our country. They're invading our country, and the judge is tossing those out. You know what's happening across the rest of the country? I mean, what's happening? Oh yeah, that's right. Well, we still have, Daniel Penny over there in New York City being held because he did what? He defended people on a subway? Good Samaritan should be given the key to the city for actually taking out someone who was obviously, mentally disturbed and harmful to society? Come on. It's self-defense, all right? It's a clear case of him actually defending people who were there. People who are on the train said he protected them. All right, it's not a hard case to look at. But of course, no, the court's being weaponized to make sure that good Samaritans get punished, while of course people who actually are invading our country are allowed to continue to flood in. While people, of course, like the woman who firebombed a police car was allowed to just walk out with just probation. While people who were arrested during the Black Lives Matter riots over in DC not only were released, but were paid for their inconvenience, right? Again, while at the same time, we have cases like the pro-life activist. Rioters get released. Rioters left and right, or not left, I should just say, rioters left get released. People who are peacefully protesting outside of an abortion clinic, 11 years in jail. You firebomb a police car, you get probation. You protest peacefully outside of an abortion clinic, 11 years in jail. We don't have a legal system anymore. We just don't. We do not have a legal system anymore. And here's what scares me about all of this more than anything else. So, when we get rid of the ability for people to have their grievances taken care of in the court system, when we get to a point where people no longer trust the courts to do what their job is to do, which is to enact justice, people will start taking the law into their own hands at some point. And we don't want that, all right? I know some of you out there are probably thinking, oh, no, that'd be great. We have people going out there, and if they won't do it, we'll take care of it. We see this all the time when it comes to a lot of the cases against, well, let's just say people who harm children, right? Where we say, oh, wood chipper. And, it's a fun meme. I like the meme, obviously. But the reality is we do not want people going around and say, I think you're guilty of this crime, therefore I'm just going to go ahead and impose mob justice against you. We don't want that. What we want is a justice system that actually works. What we want is cases like these illegal immigrants breaking into our country, we want them to be held accountable for their actions. If that means deportation, deportation. If that means they rot in jail for a serious amount of time to discourage others from breaking into the country, so be it. And, that may be what we have to start doing. What we might have to start doing is saying, we're not going to deport you. No, you're going to rot in a lousy jail for 10, 20 years. If we're willing to give, a bunch of old grandmas 11 years in jail for protesting outside of an abortion clinic, why can't we give someone who breaks into this country illegally the same amount of time? It doesn't make any sense. But what worries me is that when we have all of these illegal immigrants breaking into our country and the government doing nothing about it, the people will eventually lose it and start doing something about it themselves. That's morally, you can make the argument that's okay. Morally, you can make the argument. But I'm telling you, look at history, it doesn't go well when the people start enacting justice in their own or taking justice into their own hands. It just doesn't. Every time we start looking at cases of mob justice throughout the world, man, it's not pretty. It really isn't. You have a few cases where we can all point to like, haha, yeah, that guy deserved it. But for every one of those cases, there's a dozen or so others where, come on, we don't know. There was a case actually where a guy was going around and killing people who were, child abusers, and everyone cheered for him except for the fact, guess what? One of the people he killed was found innocent in a court of law. And it looks like he probably was just innocent. It was a sad case, and people were praising this guy because he was doing what the court system would not do. And that's what I'm scared we're going to have happen when it comes to a rise to illegal immigration here, where the people start taking matters into their own hands. When they start seeing an illegal immigrant, I'm starting to feel a little threatened maybe. That's what I'm worried will happen. And again, morally speaking, you can make the argument that there's nothing entirely wrong with that. If the justice system isn't going to do their job, well, then the people have to protect their own communities. I understand that. What I'm saying is, historically speaking, it doesn't end well. It just doesn't, which is why we have to start taking on the lawfare that the left is pushing on us. Because, again, judges dismissing charges against people who are invading this country, attacking United States troops, while at the same time giving 11 years for people peacefully protesting outside of an abortion clinic is insane. Either way, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, as well as obviously, like I keep saying, Thursdays, 9:30 p.m. Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. we do a live stream. Usually goes for about 2 hours or so. Me and my dad, we kind of talk about a lot of the news stories. If you want to be involved, if you want to, join the conversation, feel free to join us there. It's on this channel, again, Thursdays, 9:30 p.m. And obviously, if you like this video, leave a thumbs up, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to be seeing you again real soon. Peace.